Welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, the show about Star Trek with your friends and I. We will have an adventure and talk about Trek, and then in the end we will all watch Shrek.
Kind of lost towards the end there, but not bad.
I've been working on a theme song for our show, by the way.
Oh.
So
Poop in the butt, in the butt. Poop in the butt,
I'll save the theme song for another time. That was just a little preview right there. But indeed, you are listening to A Star to Steer Her By, Star Trek show. Today, my name is Jake.
This is Chris.
Today, my name is Ames. You alright there?
I'm good. My name's Caitlin.
Okay, good. We're all here.
Yeah, this is episode 86
Woo!
of the show.
Woo! It's also a very good year.
It is, I'm sure. I don't remember it. I was very young.
I was born then. It's the best year.
You were
The
born that
Challenger blew up.
Yeah, there's some bad shit happened in 86, isn't there?
Yeah, like the Challenger blowing up and me being born.
Star Trek 4, is that 86?
I think so, because it had the dedication to the Challenger astronauts
right.
at the beginning.
But also, Star Trek 4 is great.
So there we go.
Wheels.
Okay, so there you go. Baby fucking wheels. So anywho, enough of that.
Any Q.
Any Q.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Q, so today we're going to be talking about 2 episodes, Season 3, Star Trek Next Generation, Deja Q.
Nice.
Play on the term deja vu. I don't know. Again, one of those nonsensical, let's jam Q into the title of an episode.
I got someplace to jam Q.
Yeah.
Oh!
And then a matter of perspective. There's a mystery aboard the ship.
Oh.
Solved it. So we got these going on. So let's see. What do we got? Okay, so Deja Q. Let's see what we can dredge up about this episode.
Just watched it. I'm shocked you've forgotten it already.
Q was naked.
Where
Nice.
the Enterprise is trying to avert a disaster on some planet with the butthole mouth people, and their moon is about to crash into the planet.
Asteroidal moon.
Yeah, they got asteroid moon, and just at the worst possible time, Q shows up hanging dong, and and says, "Hey, by the way, guys, I'm no longer a Q. I'm no longer part of the continuum. I'm 100% man. I'm all..."
You can tell because I'm naked.
I'm here to hang out with my wang out.
So they make him put some clothes on, some terrible, terrible clothes.
Really
Horrible
awful
clothes.
clothes.
And then he's like, "Listen, Picard, you're my only friend in the universe.
we love each other.
And if I'm gonna be a human, I want to do it with you." And he's
He
like,
wants to do it with him, alright.
Can I stay here and be a member of your crew? And Picard's like, "Fuck no." And then he's like, "Well, listen, maybe I can help you out with this hemorrhoid problem." And
I'm already using Preparation H.
so
Preparation Q. Oh no.
There's your title.
I know, that's a good one. So Picard's like, "All right, why don't you and Data hang out and try to solve this problem?" So they do that. There's a lot of Q, like learning human stuff, like how to eat, how to sleep, how to get stabbed in the hand by Guinan, how to have back spasms, like all those wonderful human things that we all take for granted.
When did he get an erection?
That was when he first came aboard.
I was going to say it was when Guinan stabbed him.
I think it's when you got an erection.
So
Oh, you're right.
and then in a little bit, some aliens show up, and they're kind of pissed because Q was a jerk to them, as he is, and they're like, "Well, we're gonna now that you're mortal, we're gonna fuck your shit up." So now Picard is left in the unenviable position of having to protect Q while at the same time trying to save this planet. And it turns out it's tough to do both.
But not impossible.
Not impossible. And Picard's willing to do it. And then Q in a very rare, selfless act, decides, you know what? I'm a shitty human. I don't like these humans. I don't want to be a human. I might as well just leave and get eaten by this alien cloud monster. So he leaves the ship, and then another Q shows up and is like, hey, Q.
Hey, Q.
Yeah, they
How Q doing?
and he's like, listen, Q, this was all it was basically just a test to see if you were really an asshole, and you did the selfless thing, and you saved the ship by leaving, so put her there, pal, you're back in the club. And then Q goes out, hires a mariachi band, gets stogies for everyone.
And ladies.
That nobody wants for some reason.
I know, weird.
Yeah, Geordi did, but of course he didn't give him a chance.
And then he saves the planet. The butthole mouth people are saved. And he lets Data have a laugh. And everyone's on their merry way. And that's basically
mariachi way.
That's true.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
So that's essentially what happens there. And then in a matter of perspective, we're trying to get some Krieger waves generated. You know, Krieger waves, the most elusive of waves.
Pause for it. We started again, like in Deja Q, with nudity on the Enterprise.
This time.
This is true.
Oh, and it was actually half a butt cheek again, too.
Yeah.
Or
Between the two episodes, we have a full butt.
So, I guess we start there. So Picard is learning how to paint.
Poorly.
He's doing a figure drawing class. He's painting a naked lady, but he's doing it poorly, trying to imitate Picasso.
Some other cubist, according to...
Yeah, so Data, the art critic, shows up and tears Picard's painting a new one.
Well, to be fair, Picard quite literally asked him for it.
This is true.
And even it was like, yeah, I'm not doing as good as the others, haha. And Data's like, sure not.
So that was...
Geordi told me everything I know.
So that was so that happened, and then we find out that, Riker and Geordi have been on the space station for the last couple days trying to talk to this professor, doctor, scientist guy who's trying to develop a way to create Krieger waves, which are some rare type of waves that are difficult to create. And then they beam Riker. Geordi's already been beamed back, and then they go to beam Riker back, and as they're beaming him back, the space station exploded.
Did it turn inside out first?
Well, we don't know. That's what the episode is to find out. So, so that happens. Riker makes it out just in the nick of time, and then a little while later, an inspector from the planet comes up, and these guys are like aliens. They got head shit.
And hair shit.
Head and hair.
Head and shoulders.
They
Bed,
beam
Bath
up.
and Beyond.
And he's like, all right, Riker, I'm putting you under arrest for murder.
Most
dun.
foul.
I was gonna say that.
Picard's like, wait, hold the phone here, Buster. This is my buddy, so if you're going to take him away, you're going to have to get through me. And the guy's like, well, fine.
But what's a phone?
And then Picard's like, well, why don't we do a little holodeck shit? Because that's fun.
Play some dicks
Why
in
don't
hell.
we recreate the event in the holodeck, and we'll get everyone to tell their side of the story, including Riker, the guy's wife.
Manual.
Oh, by the way, yeah, the guy was on the space station when it exploded. That was the thing I didn't mention.
He dead.
He did.
But nobody else, right?
But nobody else.
Does that mean that they had that whole space station to, like, the three of themselves?
Yes.
Seems like it.
How big was this space station?
That big.
Yeah, pretty regular.
That was good.
So the lab assistant, the wife, and Riker all give their own version of events, and we see it all play out in the holodeck. And it's really the only difference is how rapey Riker is on a scale of not very rapey to extremely rapey. So that's really the bone of contention. Yeah.
Boner of contention?
Yikes.
Yikes, indeed.
And then, in the end, it turns out that, they find... So there's some weird shit starts happening on the ship. Bulkheads are melting. They figure out, it's Krieger waves. But we destroyed the Krieger... Well, the Krieger thing got destroyed.
He never made Krieger waves in the first place.
And then Picard puts it all together and is like, listen, here's what really happened.
It was like the end of Clue.
Yeah. And Picard, and so as it turns out, he had invented Krieger waves, but he was trying to hide it from the Federation, and his plan to do that was to murder Riker with aforementioned Krieger waves, and in doing so, he accidentally blew up his own space station and killed himself.
Fucking dope.
So,
And after they found Riker innocent, he said, I told you I didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
And that happened.
Sleep with my Worf.
There you
That's
go.
where we're at. So, Deja Q, though, first.
So right off the bat, Q himself suggested almost a better title for the episode.
What was
The
it?
boy who cried Worf.
Right, so variant
Right?
on that, the Q who cried wolf.
The boy Q cried Worf.
But we don't need to put Worf in there.
Why not? Worf wants to be everywhere.
Q was on fire with the Worf insults today.
They were so good.
Yeah, he had some things to say about
Eat any
Klingons.
good books lately?
That was so good.
Yeah, I'll say about this episode, like, the dialogue was so snappy.
Yeah.
Through the whole episode. Like, they did a fabulous job with just all the lines are just like zing, zing, zing.
Yeah. No, they nailed it, really.
When Star Trek tries to do humor, it often falls flat. This was very much an exception.
Yeah, that's good.
They did a lovely job, I thought.
I agree.
The end. Next episode.
Well, we got to see half of Q's naked ass, so I liked this episode a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have the setup, the frame story, which is the butthole people and
Yeah, their mouths
and
are
their
upsetting.
moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything about them was upsetting.
They should have just let their asteroidal moon hit them. Is it an asteroidal moon just because it's falling into the planet, or is
Maybe
there...
because it wasn't perfectly round.
Yeah, because
No.
it looked like I guess an asteroid. I guess I don't know the exact distinction between an asteroid and a moon, or
Well, moons are held in orbit by gravitational
gravity.
pull, right? And asteroids are not.
Well,
Is that
asteroids,
true, though? I think
asteroids
they are.
orbit a sun. But maybe it has
Do
to.
they all? Do they always?
I don't know. None of us here have the right background.
Yeah,
I'm
it was...
gonna look it up. Please continue.
And then
Alright,
they
you
also
do that.
have and then they refer, they refer to it a lot of times as the satellite, which is probably the most
Accurate.
and least confusing definition. But otherwise,
I know, Pluto's got a whole bunch of moons. Pluto's got 4 moons, I think, and most of them aren't round.
Well, I know neither of Mars's are.
Mars has moons?
2, Phobos and
it.
Deimos.
Ah.
I think Chiron is round, though, as far as Pluto's moons go. I didn't know it had more than Chiron, though. That was news to me.
Yeah, when they were doing all of that new study information on Pluto.
Oh,
they
we found
released
out it had a little heart?
Yeah, when they found out that little heart that it was hugging, they showed a bunch of new data on the moons because there's 3 littler ones.
Oh,
I seem to remember reading or seeing something, or some at some point somebody saying that the Earth-Moon system is fairly exceptional in that it's because the size. Most of the time when you have planets that have moons, the moons are very considerably smaller, but the moon is, it's much smaller, but compared to what you would normally expect in a moon, in the
I don't know.
the
Pluto and Charon are very close to planets
I don't
of the
know.
same
But
size.
what
But
I've
Pluto's also
heard-
tiny.
Again, what I've heard is
It's not a
that,
planet anymore.
That a lot of
a
it's
dwarf
almost
planet.
better to think about the Earth-Moon system as a binary system
Interesting.
because they're relatively so similar.
Well,
in size.
and last I knew, they could have updated the theory since I last saw this, but our moon is possibly some of our own, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, there's a
The
theory
Earth
of
jizzed
how.
into space?
Well, no, it was a collision of 2 planets, and
Some spewed off and became the moon, whereas other moons are often captured smaller satellites.
Well, and actually, asteroids may also have been moons at some moment.
Well, they also think
'Cause-
another theory is that the asteroid belt, like the big one,
yeah,
here,
between
was-
Mars and Jupiter, I believe, or
is
something.
a planet that didn't quite form.
Yeah.
well, I think a moon.
I
could
wonder if
be-
it's still forming. That'd be
I
kinda
don't. I think
interesting.
the other thing too is our moon is spherical.
Yes. Well,
And,
roughly.
and that
roughly
and that
spherical.
only
Cheese ball.
happens. That only happens with objects of a certain size. Generally, that's why most smaller asteroids are irregular, and a lot of smaller moons are irregular. But ours is
When
big
you're
enough.
when you're big, it's in its own galaxy kind of allows it to be more spherical.
Yeah, I think it's just the way that there's enough gravity there that over eons it can compress it into a sphere shape, something like that.
I think I might have an answer also.
Okay.
Moons are satellites, which means they orbit planets, and asteroids orbit the sun directly. I think
So,
that
so asteroidal moon is a non sequitur, is what we're learning.
Yeah, someone wanted to sound fancy when they were
Someone
writing.
was like, "Oh,
made
it's a
up
moon,
nonsense.
but it looks like an asteroid, so we better say asteroidal moon
Maybe.
to not confuse people." And they should have just said. But here's probably the exact thought process was like the writers are like, "Oh, it's a moon. Well, it doesn't look like the moon." They're like, "Well, it looks more like an asteroid." Okay, fine. It's a fucking asteroidal moon. Jesus.
I
They have
asteroidal.
so much fucking science consultation on these episodes, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
but-
probably more like this is going to confuse the audience. It's if we say it's an asteroid. Here's what it was. They're like, oh, if we say it's an asteroid hitting the planet, oh, well, we can't say that because it's orbiting the planet. And okay, well, great. Well, then it's a moon. Yeah, but the audience will be confused because it's not round. Okay, so it's an asteroidal moon.
I had asteroidal moons once. Had a cell for that.
What did you say?
Well, you should have given it to these people for their face.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't.
A salve. That's what you said, a salve.
But that's less important than
Q.
Q darting around the Enterprise,
In
being
his
human,
terrible costume.
falling asleep.
Cute.
Probably his first time.
Cute.
Yeah. The question though, did he ever have to take a poop?
Eventually.
Because that would have screwed with his
He never got that ice.
Yeah,
he never ate the ice cream.
He never ate his 10 sundaes.
What's up with this fucking show and not letting people have their goddamn ice cream?
Troy doesn't get her goddamn ice cream.
That
Q
girl didn't
doesn't
get
him.
Moose. The girl.
Yeah, the shapeshifter.
The dog girl.
Yeah, the dolphin.
Yeah, the dolphin.
Sounded like you said doggerel.
I said dog girl.
I know you did, but it sounded like doggerel.
Dog girl.
Terse.
That's my dog girl.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was really a very fun, and the rapport between Delancey and Spiner was really good.
Oh, I loved them together.
They were very
Oh.
nice.
And, I just loved, Data's always very matter of fact, but, what does he think, who does he think he is or whatever? He thinks he's,
Chief
the
engineer.
chief engineer. and he's
right.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah, Data's usual Data-ness in conjunction with Q's over-the-topness just
over the top cuteness.
really worked together to create something special.
Yeah,
nice.
and the thing is, they have that same parallel where if Q obtains this mortality, obtains this humanness, and Data's like, I want to be that, and you just get to get it, and you don't appreciate it, and fuck you.
And that's, that is
I want to
something-
eat a chocolate fucking sundae, and you just had ordered 10, and god damn it.
Understanding bitterness has put Data closer to humanity than he's ever been before.
And that's, that's something that could have been mishandled. But I think they did a really good job of writing that whole thing well. Because I feel like there's probably going to be other... I feel like... I can't think of anything specific, but I feel like it's probably times we've already seen things like that. It was just like, yeah, okay. But this one was done really exceptionally well.
And I loved when Guinan showed up.
Oh,
Well, you always
yeah.
love when Guinan shows up.
I do. I love Whoopi Goldberg so much.
But it is nice getting to see her have one over on Q.
Yeah. Do a fork stab.
thing
That was
is,
hot.
Yes. So that's actually when you got a boner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. The thing is, he's always afraid of her. So I kind of think that she always has one up on him.
But this is especially
Oh yeah, but I just mean that whatever she is. Do you ever find out what she is?
Ish.
She's a listener.
She comes from a planet of listeners.
I didn't want you to tell me. I just wanted to know if you.
I
Ever
mean,
find
you kind of already knew
She
this.
tends
but
bar and she listens.
I guess that's fair.
She
Yeah,
has
no,
many
she-
children, she said.
Yeah, she definitely already mentioned coming from a race of listeners already.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever. But I don't remember what I was saying. But yeah, it was good to watch her kind of poking at him a little bit because she's
And then
usually...
poking at him
No.
with a fork.
Stabbing at him.
Yeah, it was it's a very generous definition of poke.
You never saw blood. I don't know if she broke skin.
Oh, I figured she did. It looked really sharp.
They're probably safety forks.
Safety forks.
They probably... the reason they look...
They're like those knives that retract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when they detect that they've hit human skin,
What if you're
the
eating
tines
human?
retract. You know,
Get
you
your
have
hands.
to make your own fork.
When I was working in an office at one point, and they were talking about
Eating humans?
close.
Yeah, eating human flesh.
No, they're talking about there was this. Oh god, some kind of cutting implement. I want to say something like a weed whacker, but not some kind of chop saw or that kind of a thing. And there was one in development or something that will not cut human flesh because once it senses that it's cutting human flesh, it stops
I mean, that's
doing the
Yeah, I've seen
that's
that.
common.
That's a
I've
thing
seen
that
those.
occurs.
That's a real thing. It's,
Yeah.
it's not just. It
Is
doesn't.
it a heat thing? How does it?
I think
don't
it's
remember how
a moisture thing.
Is it?
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen
There's
saws
and
like
it's
that.
it's not like it turns off. There's a break.
Yeah,
Like
and you have to
a-
replace it
Yeah,
once it fires
it
because
destroys them.
Yeah,
Oh,
it completely
wow.
destroys
I
it.
mean, it needs to be. It could probably be repaired, but it's
Interesting.
Well, that's what I mean. The blade and the
Yeah.
and the blade
The
and
brake.
the safety mechanism both have to be replaced.
it's like an airbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of safety mechanisms. I mean, even, a bicycle helmet says if you ever actually have a crash, get a new helmet.
Yes.
Even if it looks okay externally, it's broken.
Well, same with bumpers too.
Yeah.
But like those apparently can like stop within like a millisecond or something.
they're
Like
very-
it's like
they're
very
very
fast.
sensitive.
So I mean, you're probably still gonna lose a little bit of something, but
You'll bleed.
but you're not
You'll
gonna
get a
fucking
cut.
lose your whole hand. So yeah.
My question when I heard about this thing that I say in the office and probably scare everyone is, well, what if you're trying to cut someone's arm off?
You don't.
Like, well, that's a good
the
question.
thing is,
And that's the day they said, how do you like working from home?
so
You want to do more
I
often?
presume I don't know a lot, but I presume that's
Are we
probably
safer
an
if you're there?
expensive feature. So
Yeah.
the people who are probably less trained on saws and therefore less likely to spend a lot of money on a saw and be more likely to cut themselves are probably less likely to spend the money
Yeah, it was probably meant
for the fancy saw. That
But if you make a lot of money teaching people how to use saws and you don't want to kill anybody,
It'd be good in like a classroom, like a shop class.
yeah, it would be
Industrial
good for that.
setting.
On the other hand, these sorts of things are not really valued by society that much anymore. And most people get pushed into 4-year colleges. So,
Well, I went to trade school. And,
Did you?
I did. And
what'd you learn? What'd you study?
Computer trade, computer tech knowledge.
Which is what you do.
It is.
Wow, trade school actually teaches you useful things.
Jake's one of those few people that actually has a job in his
field
field.
study.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure while I was there, one of the shop teachers mutilated himself on the table saw.
Fuck!
It's a big thing.
Gross.
The saw?
How's that down?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
So it does happen.
Anyway, let's talk about anything else, because now I'm having mental images of people mutilating themselves on saws, and it's creeping me out. This has been Shop Safety Corner, and sorry.
This is drill pressing.
Well, I'm dead inside.
Well, at least you have both your hands.
Yay.
Well,
So...
There's really not that much to say about this episode, except that it was really cute.
It was great.
And fun.
It was pretty
Like,
nice.
this is what really
A little
sucks
racist
about...
at the end.
A little racist
What happened at the end?
Teeny bit racist.
what
Why?
happened?
Well, because when he has the, mariachi
Oh, the
band, he
mariachis,
puts on
yeah.
a really bad accent for a minute.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Go back and listen. He tries to put on, some sort of Mexican accent or something. It's,
Oh, it
it's
was-
a little unfortunate.
It was 1990, you know?
Yeah, but it was fun. I don't
Yeah,
think I cannot imagine anybody seeing that and being offended by that.
It would have been better if he hadn't bothered with the accent.
Wasn't he in a mariachi costume? That's
He
what
was.
That's what they're really going to find offensive. It's misappropriation.
Maybe they can feel like, we can get away with it because it's Q and he's
How offended
Q.
are... I feel like a lot of people get more offended by proxy over appropriation things. Like, you might get offended that somebody's appropriating somebody else's culture, but I don't know how often I've heard of people... This is anecdotal, naturally.
I was going to say, have you talked to your Mexican friends about this? Yeah, I don't know. I think it speaks to a larger issue, right? Because a lot of the reason why white allies try to point out these things is because, one, white people don't really listen to the complaints of minorities, and two, because when you're coming from a place of privilege, you're using your privilege to bring spotlight onto the issue. So I would say I don't know if that's true.
Well, exactly. That's my point.
But I think
know.
that because minority voices tend to kind of get shut out of the bigger conversations, that might just be what is that called? Confirmation bias? Or something?
Something like that, yeah.
If you've got a lot of white
Not
friends and your white friends are getting up in arms about a thing that they think is misappropriation.
Yeah, it's going to feel like if most of your friends are white, then it's going to feel like it's just
Well, only white people give a shit about this. I don't know. I think it's probably complicated. I don't know.
It is complicated, but I just don't know. I mean, I would like to know more, is what I'm saying. I've never heard a non-white person complain about appropriation.
Oh, really? You're not looking very closely then. It's everywhere.
Maybe not.
It's everywhere.
Help educate me.
It's not my job to educate you, shitlord.
Don't you work at a college?
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm not a professor.
Yeah, we're administrative.
Wow.
Just kidding. So, for example, there recently was a lot of attention on Native Americans speaking out against appropriation of culture. Probably at least partly because of the horrible shit we were doing at the pipeline thing and throwing them... I can't even remember what the fucking pipeline was now. Holy shit.
So, like,
North
people
Dakota.
dressing as Native Americans and...
Well, okay, so jumping off of that, though, I mean, there has been a larger outcry from the Native American community about young white people at Coachella? I don't know.
Coachella,
That
I think.
fucking music festival for jackasses wearing Native
War
American
bonnets.
headdresses.
Yeah. Can't you say war bonnet?
Is that actually what they are? Either way,
I don't know. Fuck.
I feel better saying headdresses myself.
Well, because like a feathered headdress is something that like you earn the right to wear. But it also like the use of the term spirit animal. Like there was a cry and up.
Because that was getting big with Becky as well.
Yeah.
To appropriate
Becky.
a term while having a discussion about appropriation.
I think that one's okay because it's against white people.
But still, I think it's more like I don't think I'm allowed to take Becky back, as it were, as a honky.
But you're not
Trying to take it back.
No,
That's
you're
true.
using it unironically in its intended use. So I don't really think you're taking it back so much as saying, yes, I know those white women who wear feathered headdresses because they think they're cute, and I separate myself from them. But yeah, spirit animal.
That's been coming
because
under fire
that's like
appropriately.
That's like a whole.
Oh boy, we want to talk about fucking with Native American culture. Just wait till we get to Voyager. God. That's awful.
Anyway, this has been.
I don't know. I think there's probably lines to be drawn, like between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation.
Yeah, and there is a very strong distinction, and it's the tricky part is staying on the right side of the line.
Well, because I think that. Man, this is difficult.
We're both crackers.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's
Well,
like
all
my
four of us,
understanding is that like the headdress, war bonnet, whatever you want to call it. I don't. And if war bonnet is offensive, I apologize. I just don't know. I just haven't got that memo yet, and that's my bad. But my understanding is like that is like like an honor thing that you get you like receive the privilege to wear. My understanding about spirit animals is that's like a deeply religious thing to or like kind of like religion, spiritual thing. So it's kind of spiritual, spirit animal, right? It makes sense. I think it depends also whether or not something is being done respectfully. If you're having like a samurai and geisha party and like you want to wear the clothes but you don't actually know anything about the culture associated with it, or if you're going the extra racist mile and putting in like buck teeth and trying to make your eyes look almond shaped.
Well, actually, I don't think that's appropriation at that point, though.
Well, that's just
but that's
like wearing a kimono as like a fashion statement. Is that appropriation?
I think that depends who you ask. Yeah. I think if you are wearing a kimono to go to one of those parties, then yes.
Sure.
Because you're almost caricaturing the culture. I don't really know. I think it's deep. I think we should bring someone on and discuss that.
We should. That's a good idea.
It actually would be kind of cool. We could talk to all kinds of people about this.
This has been White People Try to Parse Racism Corner.
Yeah.
But you're right.
God, we are the wrong people to have this. Weren't we talking about dicks and butts last week? Didn't I just say Wendy Q pooped like 10 minutes ago? Oh, God.
People. Come on. They had great butthole
Oh, we probably made everyone feel so awkward for the last however many minutes this ends up being. Sorry,
guys,
everyone.
it's okay.
Cut
We're
it off.
super woke.
Who is?
We are.
Am I?
You know who is super woke? Q after
his nap.
After his nap.
Yeah. I did like the way they had him describe certain things.
Ugly bags of mostly water.
Falling asleep, being hungry, throwing his back out when he wasn't doing much. I feel you, man. I've thrown my back out for no good reason, too.
I mean, it was great.
What are you supposed to say? Ow?
I mean, then Geordi and Data just kind of say, yow. Yeah.
It was good comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I buy it, because I feel like Q would know what sleep is.
Well, yeah,
he wouldn't know what the feeling means. He would not know how sleep is felt.
Yeah, like he can know logically that mortal species tend to sleep, but the act of
being tired,
it sounds like he probably ultimately hadn't slept at all, and likely actually just passed out from exhaustion, which is probably slightly different than willingly lying down and having a nice rest.
Yeah, that's a very disorienting thing too. Like once you get to the point of tired where you like can't even anymore, you know?
Like, he doesn't know how to care for himself. He actually probably did come close to injuring himself from not resting.
So how long do you think he wandered around the Enterprise with shit in his pants?
Well, that's a question we never answered. Did Q shit himself? Did he poop at all?
I don't think he ate anything.
Yeah.
I don't think.
so
Well,
we have-
I don't know if we would know because he probably would just assume that he'd sprung a leak and was like.
Someone, I think, would have noticed the smell.
Here's the thing. We
think-
would have seen the stain.
You think Q's poop smells?
Yeah, he's a person now.
Yeah, but I mean, they had to have given him something.
But again, there was
to
no
leave him with some semblance of
there was
himself.
no room in that jumpsuit.
Mm.
We'd have seen the stain, or at least the fact there's a big lump in his trousers.
God, can we go back to talking about
Yikes.
mutilating each other with bandsaws?
No!
That was not as awful as thinking about all these shits and pins.
All right, we're talking about either.
All right.
You win.
Good. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject back to the original script had the whole thing be a ploy that Q was faking that his powers were lost so that he could be a hero at the end and Picard would like him. But then Gene Roddenberry says, if you're gonna, I think it was Gene Roddenberry, said if you're going to go this vein, go the full distance.
So that we
have
can
him
get
lose
some tits.
have him lose his powers entirely and deal with like what does it mean to be a human.
Another
Gene Roddenberry said that?
Good call from
I
Roddenberry.
know, shocking.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives Q some added depth,
It does.
right? Because he's no longer
You feel for him a bit too,
Yeah.
which you don't usually do because he's usually being ridiculous.
This would have been the episode to have the what was it, Henry V?
What?
Henry IV. What was the intro? Was that? I can't remember. What
Oh, a few weeks
Shakespeare
ago.
play
Oh,
was.
yeah.
The
I don't remember either. It was
The
4 or
one
5.
from
It was one of the Henrys, though, yeah.
It was from Ensigns of Command, right? No. What was it?
I can't remember.
Ensigns of Command was much earlier. I don't remember what it was, but it was the one where the king had to.
Yeah, go amongst the people
Go
as
Had
a
to,
person.
had to play tennis.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been the good intro for this one.
Q devises this plan to change the gravity on the moon somehow.
Well, he first just says change
The gravity of the
full
universe,
stop,
which was
but then
cute.
Geordi
Which was
extrapolates
very
that
cute.
into something manageable.
And Data's like, he means that is outside of our capabilities. Oh.
But
Nice.
I wonder if that plan would have ultimately worked.
Changing gravity?
Well, no, because they so the idea was, we'll create a warp field around the asteroid.
Well, it
And
sounded like it
You-
was working. They just weren't able to exert enough power for long enough because the gas kept attacking.
Yeah, and then in the end, it became a moot point because Q just moved
Q
the
did,
asteroid, and when he got his power back.
But yes, it sounds like it would have worked if they didn't have external interference.
So I wonder how much of this situation was actually set up by the Continuum.
Oh, as a test?
Like, yeah, if
It's
the
like how Q tested Picard in Farpoint?
Yeah, if they were like, okay, well, we're going to turn Q human, and he's going to go hang out with his buddy Picard. So let's give Picard something really challenging to deal with that'll test both Picard and Q.
Would you say it was an IQ test?
Oh.
No, nobody would say that. It's a stupid thing to say.
Well, and that would also explain how the gas found out, one, that he was mortal now, and two, where he was.
I mean, it could have been a situation like, oh shit, Q's dealing with the situation fairly well. Let's add another element to the mix.
Yeah, so blonde Q went to the gas and went, hey guys, that Q you hate? He's mortal and here's where he is.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they then just attack this other Q since Q is all part of the same Q?
Well, but this Q is still got his powers.
So?
So there's nothing they can do to blonde Q.
Oh.
Blonde Q's fucking godlike. Other Q is just a person. He's an ugly bag of mostly water.
True. He's not ugly. He is a bag of mostly water, however.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment.
Also, he's Q. We were talking about this on the way over. The actor that plays Q is now
John Delancey.
He's 70 years old, but 9 years ago or so, he still basically looked like Q, like a little older, a little paunchier in the face.
Yeah, his photo on Wikipedia as of recording is from 2009.
Still looked good. Still looked right. I mean,
Had a goatee.
Yeah.
They should bring him back for Discovery.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to explain it.
Yeah.
Why he looks
He could be
old.
something else.
He could.
He could show up but not explain who he is. But
So
we
he
as
could
the
also be in a
audience-
disguise. I mean, he seems able to disguise himself in
That's what I mean. Like, he
every
can just sort of
possible way. So-
show up and bother them, but only we as the audience sort of know. Like, oh, he's Q, but they don't know. They just know he's...
Yeah, I don't think it would be good to
No, it wouldn't.
bring John
probably.
Delancey back as that character. And then, for that matter, I think if you brought John Delancey back as not that character, that would also be stupid. So But
Can we bring back Guinan, because Whoopi has not aged a fucking day.
No, that's true.
Yes, we can definitely have Guinan. And it would make sense because Guinan is very long-lived. So.
That's true.
So yeah. Next episode, I guess. It's a good episode, but it's more a character piece, and that's sort of harder to extract anything
the
from.
episodes that we like, we always have less to say because it's just like, no, it was great. What would I change?
Yeah, or the project
costuming.
sort of
Q's costume is terrible.
Yeah.
That's about all I would change.
And he knew it though, so at least there was that.
Yeah, that's true.
They specifically gave him one that he wouldn't like.
Yeah.
And then Q2, his little friend, copied it and was like, why are we wearing this?
Yeah, so this is actually an interesting thing about the Q, is having introduced another Q.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we know there's more than one of them.
Yeah, I kind of liked the idea before that I had that the Q is just Q. Like, the Q is Q. And there is only Q. Like the one and many. What's the term for in the Catholic Church?
Tripartite God or something?
I don't know, but whatever it is. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
They're all three parts of the same.
They're three things. They're three, but they're not distinct, and they're the same, but they're separate. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, I like the idea that Q was the continuum, and the continuum was Q.
Except even from the off, he did seem to refer to it in such a way that he is
a part of the sum.
Yeah.
Not the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever interpreted it that way, Jake. So
yeah,
I didn't
saying,
say you. I said me.
You said Q. Yeah.
I would expect them to all look the same, though.
Well, I would expect them to choose whatever form they wish. Because I imagine when they're talking to cloud monsters, they look like cloud monsters. And when they're talking to bunghole mouth people, they have bunghole mouths.
Yuck.
How do you think the bunghole people kiss? They just press their bungholes together and exchange
some
whatever.
kind of weird scissoring-esque thing.
So,
I think they ever accidentally kiss each other's assholes because you can't tell your ass from your face.
Wow.
So, Rashomon in space.
What's
I
that?
don't know what that is.
Rashomon is a 50s Akira Kurosawa film. It's one of his early ones. And it's most famous, like, basically whenever you see a story like this in film or television, where you're seeing the same event from multiple perspectives, and, the way...
Like that painting class.
Yeah. Look at that. I can't
take credit. I read that online.
I mean,
that
was
made that.
evident.
Maybe
I'm just
fucking
more
idiot.
intelligent than the rest of you.
Yeah, that's why you think Q is one person.
I just think that would be cool.
Shots have been fired.
So anywho, but yeah, the person telling it is almost like exaggeratedly good, and everyone else is sort of, unbalancedly not as good.
There was another thing, though, like that. There have been other episodes of shows like
that. Yeah, and a lot of them are riffing on Rashomon.
Yeah.
Because there's I forget if it's a murder or... Yeah, it's a murder, actually. It's definitely a murder. And again, it's like you see the same events from the perspective of the person telling the story. Yeah, it's the same sort of idea where their actions reflect very well on them and very, or at least somewhat poorly on everyone else. And even there is testimony from a dead man, except because it's set in a sort of a medieval period, they accept the testimony of the dead man as interpreted by a psychic medium.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this is their play on it. They have their sort of version of it, like how you could, the testimony of a dead man is, this is a society that allows hearsay, and the dead man talked to somebody beforehand. But yeah, so it is Space Rashomon. Good movie.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Which of the Rikers was real? That's what I'd like to know. Because we know that he didn't kill the man, and I would hope that he wouldn't try to forcibly do anything naughty with a woman.
Yeah.
But
I posit none of the ones that we see in the holodeck.
Not even his own?
Not even his own. Because
I'm willing to... Because
as we've said, everyone's perspective is shaded through their own lens.
Well, sure, but either she threw herself at him, he threw himself at her, or they were kissing of a mutual interest. One of these things has to be real. Or are you suggesting that he was imagining that she was trying to seduce him, and that is... But she wasn't, and that's the actual real truth.
So, I mean, in Riker's version, she is just from the off.
Thirsty.
Yeah, she is making eyes at him. And he's just like, I don't even notice what's going on. And you're like, fuck you, Riker. Even if you're not into it,
I sense
you
estrogen.
notice. Yeah, like...
Yeah, he can smell a woman that's on the make from miles
Yeah,
away.
no, he, like, the minute he beamed on, before she even walked into the room, he was just like, my horniness senses are tingling.
He could, like, smell the, whatever that women, pheromones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to say vagina.
I knew you were.
I can smell your cunt. That's the Silence of the Lambs
Yes,
reference.
I know. It's technically classy. So,
What?
I said it's technically classy.
What does that mean?
Because it's a reference that seems sort of crass, but it's an award-winning film, so it's technically classy.
It can still be crass and come
I don't
from
think
a
it's.
classic
I'm
film.
gonna go ahead and tell you that I don't think it's classy at all. I think it's.
That's why I said technically.
I don't think it's even
disagree.
technically.
The best type of correct.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
But I
or
think
else it
gets the
gets the
hose
hose again.
I mean, so I think she probably made eyes at him, and again, whether or not Riker was actually into it, he saw, because he's not a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, was she actually clinging to her husband as much as she was in her testimony? Probably not. I mean, I do think it is nice that, for all that the film episode does give you a very specific sort of end result, like here's how things ended, it does leave it up to the individual viewer as to where you think the truth lies for everything else.
I'm going to go out on a limb. So we got his version in which she was humping his leg and he was like, no ma'am.
No, Mrs.
Yeah.
Robinson.
And then we have her version where he is like literally raping her. And then we have the version of the lab assistant, which is, as relayed to her from the scientist.
Yeah, who walked in at the end.
But in that one, they were just making out.
Mutually,
There was a mutual thing.
Maybe she was like having a episode and he needed to breathe life back into her.
Actually, though, no. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, knowing what I know about Will Riker from our past experiences, I honestly think that is probably the closest to the truth. That they probably were making out.
Having a dalliance. Well, and because he actually has that Professor Doctor. What the fuck is his name?
Apgar.
Dr. Apgar has actually, of all of them, the most reason to lie about what he saw, maybe for the sake of saving face. So if anybody was going to be like, oh my god, he was forcing himself on my wife, you feel like it would be him to his assistant, because he doesn't want to admit to her, like, yep, I'm a huge cuck.
Or if he...
Or I'm going to double cross everyone and sell my not Bertolt rays. That was the last episode.
Krieger
waves to the fucking Ferengi for gold pressed latinum.
True.
The best kind of latinum.
Yeah, I mean, I personally also lean towards Riker. If he wasn't actively already making out with her, then it was something closer to, like, his, where she was coming on to him, but maybe he was thinking about reciprocating.
I cannot see Riker turning down sex with a lady.
Neither can I, but what I mean is
She's kind of older,
he may have
though,
been...
no?
She was attractive for her species, I would say.
I guess.
Plus, Riker is
She's better looking than Conehead.
Riker's a student of Ben Franklin.
Likes grannies. Ben Franklin loved old ladies.
He wrote a whole treatise on why old ladies were better. The one thing I think that definitely happened...
Geordi went and harassed Tana.
Well, yes, but that's not the point of this trial. It's a different episode.
Well, the point of the trial isn't whether or not he was being a sex pest either.
True.
But that was oddly what most of the problem seemed to be. But anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your motive.
But yeah, I think at the very least, Riker and...
Tana.
Thank you.
Manua.
No, the
Which
doctor.
one? Apgar.
Apgar. You think I'd
Apgar?
remembered after you had your exchange.
Garth.
Came to blows, because all three versions had them fighting each other. So at the very least...
Neither of them landed a punch, I bet.
They both flailed uselessly at each other.
knocked
in like some kind of
themselves
slap
out
fight.
and fell.
I mean, I feel like the most likely version is Apgar walked in, took that swing at Riker that whiffed, and then...
So, well, let's see. So in Riker's version...
He hit the wife
hit
first.
the wife and then tried to punch Riker but fell on his ass like an idiot.
Yeah.
And then in
fell on his
In
ass.
the wife's
like
version,
an idiot.
Riker punched him out.
First.
Riker kicked his ass.
Yeah.
And then in
Like, yeah, that's not your bag.
the other version, the
Apgar
version that Apgar
via
told,
Tana.
what's Tana? Apgar, like,
Knocked
just
Riker down,
destroyed Riker.
Superman to
So-
lay in there.
However exactly went 2 out of 3 of them, Apgar didn't do great, so he probably didn't do great.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was an old man. Riker's...
I kind of like the version of him whipping Riker's ass. I kind of think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, but Riker's in his prime and trained by Starfleet.
Got a bad back.
Mm.
IRL.
Well, yes, IRL, but not Will Riker.
Well, we don't know. He walks and sits funny. Just saying, seems like he might have a problem.
Well, by the 24th century, that is how Alaskans do.
I'm sorry, is he from Alaska?
We have had this discussion before.
Has it been established in the show yet?
I don't know.
And I continue not to fucking believe it.
People are from Alaska?
No, no one could live up there. It's impossible.
By the 24th century, Alaska is tropical.
Oh, sad.
And every other part of the fucking country is underwater.
I'm sorry, did I say 24th century? I meant in 10 years, Alaska is tropical.
And the rest of the world is underwater.
Yes. But, yeah, so I don't know. I find, I think that's kind of the point, though, is that, or maybe it isn't, I don't know. I mean, we get to objective truth about what caused the explosion.
Yeah, that's the one fact.
But and that really is what the issue is.
Yeah.
Unless the wife is going to, try to press a sexual assault charge.
No, there was a comment. There was a comment that was interesting in that, I think it was in Tana's holodeck version, where Apgar goes and says like, oh, or one of them says in the holodeck, Riker would be okay because he's a Starfleet officer, even if Apgar pressed charges. But Apgar's reputation is at stake. I'm like, if someone tried to tell you Riker sexually assaulted my wife, I don't think he would be okay.
No, I think what she was saying is not that you'll escape charges, but that Apgar would just drop it himself.
Yeah, that was the
she's
wife.
like,
yeah.
he'll forget. He'll get distracted with science.
Oh, is that what you would?
Well, yeah, she actually,
That's what she said.
she literally said that.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you're a Starfleet officer. He's a scientist.
He's too busy sciencing to bring up charges when there's something wrong?
Pretty much. That's
Well,
basically what she said.
But here's the thing, too, though. Got to remember that this was being made in the 90s when, I'm guessing, people were ignoring sexual harass and assaultment all the time. I think our vision of things is slightly distorted because of everything that's been going on. But I think that in the 90s version of the future, yeah, probably officers would get away with attempted assault. Especially if it was coming from some goofy doctor person who isn't ready to deliver on time, and it's against, spotless record William Riker or whatever. I don't know.
First officer of the Federation flagship.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the 90s, there was a lot less Me Too, and a lot more was she dressed like she wanted it, so I don't know.
She was dressed like she wanted it.
That's true.
Yeah, actually, points against the costume designer for basically putting her in a nightgown.
I think that was part of the point, was to show that in all of the holodeck reenactments, she's, got the fucking cleavage just hanging out. A slight breeze would blow that thing right off of her. Whilst when she shows up in human flesh, she's wearing something that goes all the way up the neck. And covers every inch of skin.
Even in her version, though, she's in the,
negligee.
Skimpy outfit.
True.
And also, if you were accusing someone of trying to rape you in the 90s, you too would probably dress yourself in a very chaste and modest manner because people are not going to look kindly upon dressing like you want it in court if you're trying to get someone in trouble for sex pestery.
But was
Sex pest.
Dr. Elgar
Apgar.
and Tana,
Apgar.
were they doing it?
Totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ew.
All over that machine.
Constantly.
Really? She could do a lot better.
Really? With that head?
Her
hair. That's just her hair.
her haircut was terrible. She did better
I
hair.
thought that.
She wasn't a cone head. That was just her hair.
Yeah, but he's 100.
Yeah, but he's a brilliant scientist.
Yeah.
So
She wants to fuck his brain.
Maybe
You heard of a lot
maybe
of-
looks aren't everything, Kaylin.
Okay, but do you ever hear someone being like, "Oh my god, I really want to bang Bill Gates"?
Probably.
But I have heard of
Yeah, only if there was a check at the end of it.
I have heard of people banging people for career advancement. If she thought, oh well, if I put out to the
Krieger ray inventor.
Yeah, I mean, I can ride this to the top.
She's gonna ride it to the top,
You
all
know?
right.
Like, that's another sad reality.
That's true.
So you never know.
Well, and actually that feeds really nicely into what we're talking about, which is that, like, you know, the fact of the matter is that so few, like, when you look at, like, Weinstein, right? Right? Weinstein?
Yep.
Harvey.
I always want to say Weinstein, because it's the same letter pairing, it should make the same sound, but it doesn't. Weinstein. Career advancement and or maintenance was a lot of the reason why people, like, wouldn't speak out against him, men and women alike. So,
True that.
anyway,
Very true.
this has been a very interesting episode of this
This is
show.
a
Yeah, a lot.
It's a very special episode.
Touching on a lot of social issues.
Let's go back to symbiosis and talk more about Columbia or whatever we talked about then.
Oh, that was a great episode. I loved that. We're talking about... Yeah, that was a good one. All right.
Yeah, really, it boils down to I don't think Riker understood what the assignment for creating the holodeck program was, and he just wanted to write some porn.
So he did what I would do. Never do what Caitlin would do. Only lead to trouble.
Oh, I had a question though. So one of the things that was brought up in the couple of different testimonies was how it was decided that Riker and Geordi would stay in quarters at the station called Botanica 4.
The regular one.
Regular one. And one of them was, oh yeah, we secured quarters elsewhere. And then the wife says, oh no, you should stay here. Versus Riker saying, I think we should stay here. Can we stay here? And her saying, oh, I guess so, but I'm not really comfortable with it. Oh no, my top is falling off.
Well, she wasn't dressed for visitors, you
Couldn't
understand.
they have asked Geordi, like, what was the plan? Did you guys actually have quarters secured on planet somewhere?
Well, also, that would have been pretty easy to check, because you could just say, where did you secure quarters, and then call that guy. And be like, yeah, I'm running the hotel, and I have a booking for a Riker.
Well, being fair, he could have booked, but then been like, oh, could we stay here, actually? No cancellation fees, there's no money.
That could be canceled.
What
No,
was the point in even running
Or
a hotel
Geordi could
be?
stay on the planet.
In her version of events, he's very insistent that they're staying there, though.
Yeah.
So, and really, it's an inconsequential detail. It just served to show the discrepancy in their.
I still want to know where Geordi stayed, because she made it sound like that room that Riker was in was the
cabinet
only
in the
guest.
kitchen.
Yeah, like, oh, right, there's two of you.
That's true, they should have bunked up.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did.
I can put a bedroll in the cargo room. It's a bit chilly in there. We don't really heat it much. It's only absolute zero outside.
So, the Krieger waves are a power source?
Yeah, it was. They're researching it as a new power source.
But it sounds like you need a generator generating something else.
They were sciencing at us hard, and
Yes.
I think most of it was nonsense.
Yes.
It was definitely nonsense.
They did name Krieger waves after the science consult on this episode, who came up with how the holodeck could still be at fault, but not actually creating like something dangerous, since the holodeck isn't supposed to actually be able to hurt you.
It's just, it's impossible for me. They keep talking about Krieger waves, and now you're saying their science advisor was named Krieger. I can only think of Krieger from Archer.
I've never seen, so.
He starts off as, without spoiling anything, he starts with a character who his first few appearances literally never speaks. Like, the gag is sort of like, everyone just kind of talks at him. When he starts talking, you find out there are, let's call them depths to Krieger that maybe you never wanted to plumb. He is a...
I'm not going to watch the show, so feel free
Yeah,
to
but some of our
spoil it.
listeners might. I'll tell you afterwards.
Aim's like, I don't care.
But he is a
I don't
delightfully
care.
weird man.
If you're making a point of it, though, and not telling me what the thing is, so, whatever.
Also, it means that so Krieger invented so Starfleet had evidently hired him or paying him to develop this device, right? Because
Yeah.
that's implied.
And he's asking for more of whatever the supply thing he needs.
Right, because he
specifically
wants
so that he can sell it to
Yeah, he
Ferengi.
can build a bigger one that can be used as a weapon.
Weaponized, yeah.
But here's the thing. The Federation now has the Krieger device in their holodeck computer.
Yeah.
So
They have the technology now.
they now have the technology.
They
Or the
could
plans.
Krieg all over the place.
Yeah, so are they paying for it? Are they going to pay the widow? Or are they just like, well, since your husband's work was destroyed and he was killed while trying to murder a Starfleet officer, we're just going to keep our money and the Krieger plans.
The biggest story here is that Riker, despite going down there to like check in on everyone and make a report, didn't notice the conspiracy element at all.
How would he?
Because he was busy making eyes at and having eyes made at him by the wife.
Well, I'm really more disappointed in Geordi, right? Because he inspected the equipment. You would think that he would be able to look at that and be like, well, okay.
And Tana has no idea either, theoretically.
Yeah,
Unless she's in on it because she's been sleeping with him.
Maybe she is in on it. Maybe they're both. Maybe both the wife
and Geordi.
And Geordi's like, Geordi wanted to cut.
Tana honestly could just be a personal assistant, not a lab assistant, and therefore she keeps his appointments but doesn't know anything about the work he does.
Yeah. I see. It's also,
I feel like she was the research assistant.
No, because she knew when somebody asked, oh, what is he doing there? She's like, oh, he's activating the generator or whatever. Like,
well,
she knew how the controls worked, at least.
Yeah. I mean, she knew what the on switch was. That doesn't mean she knows how it works.
And also with Geordi, like, yeah, he's a chief engineer on the starship, but doesn't mean he knows anything about Krieger generators. You know, you could look at it and go like, that certainly could be, but have no way of knowing if it's working, you know?
Well, he was able to figure out
it's green.
That's what was causing the problems on the Enterprise.
Yeah, but he's also working with Data and Wesley with that, so that was the three of them, and by which I mean probably mostly Data.
How they said how long it took for the beam to go from
1.4 seconds.
No, it was the 0.0014 or something like that.
Which is I'm assuming Krieger waves travel at the speed of light. Maybe they don't, because if they did, that's a very great distance. Like 0.001 seconds.
Was that the time that it took theoretically for the ray to bounce from the machine off of Riker and then back to the machine?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's still 10 milliseconds, which is, light could travel 100 miles.
Well, yeah, that's the thing though, is it's not light, it's some kind of energy beam.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I would
Science.
assume.
Plus, we don't know exactly what Krieger waves are. Maybe they
It's techno
bend reality somehow.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Especially within the holodeck.
Also, you think another thing they could have confirmed is, because I presume this is the kind of mission where they wouldn't have been armed, so they could have just checked his the transporter records to see if he had a phaser on him when O'Brien beamed him aboard.
That's
true.
That's
a good point.
Yeah, and
that
also
is a
they
good
would
point.
have detected a phaser blast in the transporter. Didn't that happen once where there's a phaser disc being discharged?
Being discharged.
Wasn't there a thing?
Has that happened yet, or is that
Yeah,
later
I thought it was.
episode?
I thought it was like.
I know they've definitely...
Data. They thought.
I think you might be looking ahead.
Well, I know in The Hunted, certainly, there was...
No, this was a while
they
ago.
deactivated that guy's phaser.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound familiar to me.
Doesn't sound familiar. I feel like this use of the transporter hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, at this point, they've mostly used it to depower energy cells in weapons.
One technology that has come up before that, would be nice but hasn't come back ever fucking again was that lie detecting machine that we saw, and I believe Wolf in the Fold.
Yeah, or, Troy.
I mean, Troy specifically said, like,
They were all telling the
both
truth.
of them think they're telling the truth from their point of view.
No, I know, but...
They didn't use that as
They're
testimony, but...
They're both remembering things so differently. They are both really good at
They're
self-delusion.
both like, you're so hungry for me because I'm so cool. No, you're hungry for me.
I know what episode it was, and no, it hasn't come up yet. Sorry.
I think those are all my real notes. Let me think. Oh, there was... Oh, here we go. There was a deleted scene in which after Picard has his painting shat upon by Data, that he throws red paint at it.
Who does?
For Picard.
And then somebody comes in and be like, it's genius.
I see you've inspired by both the Cubists and Jackson Pollock.
And my 5-year-old nephew.
That seems a little too petulant for Picard. I'm glad they cut it.
Yeah.
This episode's actually the start of this that scene in this episode is the source of one of my favorite TNG edit YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. We should probably share.
What is it?
We can watch it afterward. I think we may have already seen it too. It's one where it's that scene, but when they show Picard's canvas, it's a horse playing a saxophone.
I don't think I have seen this.
Oh,
that
it's
sounds
genius.
amazing.
Oh, God! Shit, I'm sorry to go back, but we missed an important moment last episode.
Oh, yes. The face
The facepalm! The facepalm from the internet happened in Deja Q.
What?
Yeah. He's like, when Q is there, and like, I can be useful on the ship, Captain. I hate my outfit.
I missed it.
Yeah.
I'd rather be nude. Yes,
So,
we'd
yeah.
all rather you be
We would
nude.
all prefer that, Q.
Does anyone else have anything on a matter of perspective, or what I'm going to call Measure of a Man Part 2, courtroom drama?
There's lots of courtroom drama episodes.
No.
But never with the bell. No bell.
No, I know. I missed the bell.
Bell?
Remember
the
in
TOS
TOS
bell.
when ding 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 when they had the court martial?
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and nobody has to swear. Well, I guess
Yeah,
it's not
we
an
can-
official. It's not an official
Starfleet inquiry. This is an inquiry from a different group.
Yeah,
that
this
there's-
is determining whether or not Data gets handed over to Tanuga 4.
You mean Riker?
Riker.
They
Data's
should take.
not going anywhere.
They want to just take Data so that he can bang everybody. Anyway, shall we do hats?
Oh, yes, hats.
Let's do hats.
Forgot that was part of this episode.
Explain what hats
Let's
are,
explain the
Ames.
hats to
Tell us
people.
about the hats, Ames.
I'm going to tell people about the hats.
Do it.
Our loyal listeners will remember, and if you don't remember, you should go back and listen to because it was a lot of fun. When we wrapped up TOS, we celebrated by each writing a little bit of fanfic. Because TNG is over twice as long as TOS.
Not that size matters.
Well, not to Data. Actually, that was my joke. My joke in Deja Q was the reason he was laughing is because Q told him how big everybody else's penis was.
I was thinking he could see them all naked, and that's why he was laughing. So we were sort of in the same
Yeah,
place.
I like it. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Ames. So yeah, because we won't get to the end of TNG for quite a while, we'd like to do a fanfic experiment with a little bit of a mashup. A couple weeks ago, we released our viewings of the latest Star Wars, so we decided, hey, let's do a crossover between Star Trek and Star Wars. So what we have here are two hats. You can't see them, but I swear there are two fancy hats.
Should I take pictures of the hats?
No, don't wear other hats. Well,
This is the sound of hats rubbing together.
do what you like. Ooh, that's kinky.
This the sound of one hat clapping.
Hats.
Nice.
In one hat is either TNG or TOS, and in the other hat are the 4 different series of Star Wars, be they prequels, originals, sequels, or the anthology series. And we're each going to pick combinations from these hats. So, shall we?
Yes.
Who wants to go first?
Me.
Yeah.
So one from each.
One for
I don't
each?
even know which is which, so
As long as it's
just
one for
praying
each.
to not get prequels.
I don't think I would
Do we
mind
want
getting
to
prequels.
unveil together?
Yes.
Okay, so
Does
don't
that
look
mean I
at.
shouldn't look?
Don't look at.
Okay,
I
alright.
don't get to look? Alright.
We're gonna look live. We're all gonna react live.
I mean, it's still live if she looks now.
But what I mean is, like, we can get her initial, like, either joy or oh no.
Okay. I mean, we'd get that no matter what. And
All right. So, Caitlin, you have.
The Star Wars original trilogy.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, God. And the original series.
Ooh, very
Nice.
original.
Original.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Good combo. Yeah.
Good combo.
I have.
You can finally get McCoy in. You can't get us any Worf Pulaski porn yet.
Oh, I have.
Oh, that's too
I have
bad. Someday.
TGS.
That's an O.
TOS.
Wow.
Well, we know we both have
Original
TNG then.
There you go. Yeah.
And-
Process of elimination.
Star Wars prequels.
Get it, Jake.
So one of
Dexter
us.
Jetster's making a comeback.
Oh God, he is your favorite. Okay, so we
What
both
about
have
Kid
TNG.
Fisto?
That's a good
We both have TNG.
Yep.
We know
That's
that
this
just by
one.
process of elimination.
I know this is TNG.
And so it's just a question of which Star Wars era
Yeah.
did we get. Oh, good. That's my So shall we unveil together?
Let's do it. Ah, yes. I have the anthology series.
I have the sequels.
Cool.
All right. Time for some.
TNG anthology series.
Time for some Poe Dameron /
K2.
poo porn.
K2.
K2 is.
Oh no,
TNG.
he's in anthologies. That's right.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be someone from Star Trek.
Oh, Guinan.
That could work. All right. Well, look forward to that. We're
Yeah.
gonna do it. We're gonna release it as close as possible to our 2nd anniversary.
Yeah, so look forward to that. I guess September 6th is going to be the date that goes live.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Will-
it gives us a
will
couple
we-
months to write.
Will we see you in September?
I'll be gone in November.
Do you know that song?
A little bit. I don't know much of it.
Alright, fair enough. It's an
All
old
right,
song.
so yes, do please look forward to that, and look forward to what next week from us, Jake.
Yay!
Well, since you've asked, Next week on A Star to Steer Her By,
What would you do if we didn't have?
we're going to be talking about 2 of my top episodes, I think, of the series.
Under Deja Q, though, I bet.
Well, naturally. In Yesterday's Enterprise and The Offspring.
Very nice.
The Offspring, not the band.
I was gonna say, and all the girlies say I'm pretty fly.
2 episodes I know I've seen.
Excellent.
Oh, I think I've only seen one of them.
Well, they're both very good.
And the ambassador class is sexy as fuck.
Well, we'll be able to discuss that and many more topics
So much.
next time on A Star to Steer Her By.
Woo.
Until then, find us on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for A Star to Steer Her By, and you're bound to find us. You can also download our podcast on SoundCloud and on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are served. Well, until next time, my name is Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is always Caitlin.
See you later.
Cute.
Cute.
Ben Franklin was also old.
Well,
He was young at one point,
yes,
wasn't
he
he?
didn't-
He was always old.
He wasn't born 70.
What?
Yeah, no, I know.
I've never seen...
He had a full head of hair once.
What?
I know.
It is disturbing.
Yeah.
I just assumed like he was like a 10-year-old kid as a child out flying a kite, and then the kite got shocked by electricity, and it somehow warped his body into that of a 70-year-old man, which he stayed in for his entire life.
Did you just picture that for his whole life he just had the $100 bill head just on it, and you know, like first a child's body, then a teenager's, then an adult's, then the body finally matched his head.
Yeah. There's a, he's basically Benjamin Button,
Okay.
but where he doesn't age at all. Where he just stays old.
I don't think you know the plot of Benjamin Button.
No.
He was Dorian Gray,
Nope, that's not what that
but he
movie
got
is
the
either.
picture very
That
late in
book.
life.
Cool.
But yeah, no.
Picture of Benjamin Button.